Hello dear readers and subscribers. Fine art photography is truly a niche of its own in contemporary art and throughout art history. And as a result, today I want to give a little crash course of 10 fine art photographers of the past that you need to know and the top 10 highest ranked contemporary photography artists today. As our platform predominantly focuses on contemporary art, the selected 10 highest ranked artists today are actually part of an open recent anthology of 30 artists that we recently updated. So for more extensive biographies and also 20 more fine art photographers, including some of my absolute favorites, think of Boris Mikhailov, Rineke de Dijkstra, Candida Heuver, many more. Definitely have a look at the article after watching this video. But now let's have a look at the true pioneers of this medium. Starting with Alfred Stieglitz, who was a pivotal advocate for photography as an autonomous art form, elevating it from a craft to modernist expression through his photosecession movement and especially refined printing techniques. Man Ray bridged Dada and Surrealism, transforming photography into kind of a field of experiment and imagination through his cameraless rayographs and a very avant-garde approach to the medium. Laszlo Moholy-Nagy, another radical innovator, integrated photography into the Bauhaus philosophy, using light, abstraction and unconventional perspectives to redefine the visual possibilities of the medium, a more formal approach to what photography can do. Ansel Adams transformed landscape photography with his majestic depictions of the American wilderness, combining formal precision with a certain environmental reverence, setting both the tone and the standard for landscape photography to this very day. Walker Evans brought clarity and a quiet poetry to documentary photography, capturing the American vernacular with an honesty that would inspire generations to come, as we see in the list of artists today. Henri Cartier-Bresson, the master of what he calls le moment décisif, the decisive moment, which is when the photographer clicks, snaps, takes a snapshot, distilled photography to its purest form, timing, geometry, and human intuition, laying the foundations of modern street and reportage photography. On the other hand, Diane Arbus redefined portraiture with her very empathic and unsettling images of people on society's margins, truly paving the way for more socially engaged fine art photography. Robert Frank presented a raw, fragmented vision of post-war America, changing how photography could function as both critique and also autobiography. Alan Sekula merged image and theory, exploring labor, global trade, and capitalism's unseen infrastructures with very much of an intellectual rigor and moral force. And to conclude, the duo Bernd and Hilla Becher catalogued industrial architecture with encyclopedic precision, laying the conceptual groundwork for an entire generation of contemporary photographers. Building on these legacies, now let's have a look at the fine art photography artists you need to know today. Hiroshi Sugimoto is an artist working primarily in photography. His best known series, including dioramas, theaters and seascapes, examine the passage of time and the nature of reality. For example, arguably his best known artwork and in a lot of curriculums of art history, Trial on New York of 1977, is part of his long-running series of theaters. Sugimoto famously used long exposure photography to capture the entire length of a film, resulting in a bright white screen and the detailed static architecture of the empty theater, suspended in time, two different types of duration in a single shot. Louise Lawlor is a central figure of the pictures generation and a leading voice in the discourse on institutional critique. Since the 1970s, she has examined how artworks acquire meaning and value through the systems that display, circulate, and commodify them. Lawlor's photographic works depicting other artists' artworks in museums, private collections, and auction houses draw attention to the conditions of art's presentation and exchange. Her images therefore reveal how meaning shifts as artworks move between public and private spaces, exposing their dual existence as both aesthetic and financial objects. Andreas Gursky is internationally recognized for his monumental large-scale photographs that reflect on capitalism, globalization, and the architecture of modern life. By the mid-1980s, he developed his own distinct visual language, employing color, scale, and also digital manipulation to depict contemporary environments where the vastness of global systems dwarfs human activity. From leisure landscapes to the interiors of stock exchanges, factories, and apartment blocks, the result is an aesthetic of control and spectacle that captures both the beauty and also the alienation of global capitalism. Thomas Struth is one of the most influential photographers of his generation, renowned for a very incisive exploration of how human imagination, but also technology and social systems actually shape the world, our visible world. What makes his work so special is that he uses both precision but also empathy in his photographs, capturing the psychological and also ethical dimensions of progress, invention, and the modern condition. Carrie Mae Weems is one of the most influential and enduring voices in contemporary American art, as her body of work spans over 4 decades, using photography as well as some text works, installation, performance, and video, but predominantly photography, to explore race, gender, class, and power. Weems's work gives voice to those excluded from the dominant narratives, transforming the overlooked and silent into agents of history, which makes Carrie Mae Weems another exemplary case study, where the medium photography intertwines with social engagement and the line blurs between what is art and activism. Now that we're halfway through our top 10 of the highest ranked artists today, I also warmly welcome you to have a look at 2 exhibitions we currently have. A solo presentation with some abstract paintings by Aaron Barrett, of which 2 are behind me at this very moment. And also Tonino Matto's representational, historically inspired paintings. I'll link to it in the description below and in the pinned comments. Zanele Mugholi is a visual activist and photographer whose work foregrounds the lives, struggles, and resilience of Black LGBTQ+ individuals. For over 2 decades, Mugholi has used photography as a tool of resistance to challenge discrimination and to construct an affirmative queer visual history within and beyond South Africa. Mugholi states, "My mission is to rewrite a Black, queer and trans visual history of South Africa, for the world to know of our resistance and existence at the height of hate crimes in South Africa and beyond." Thomas Ruffs quickly distinguished himself from his mentors, the aforementioned Bert and Hilla Becher, by abandoning their typological black and white rigor in favor of large-scale color prints, digital manipulation, and serial experimentation. Over the past 4 decades, he has created an unparalleled body of work that systematically dissects the grammar of photography. Ruff works in discrete, conceptually driven series, each exploring a distinct photographic genre, its technologies, conventions, and visual languages, while probing the boundaries between image and reality. Nan Goldin, known for her raw, intimate, and profoundly empathic documentation of life, love, and loss. Goldin says, "My work has always come from empathy and love, a truth that runs through her entire practice." Since the 70s, Goldin has chronicled her chosen family of friends, lovers, and fellow outsiders with a disarming honesty that collapses the distance between artist and subject completely. Emerging from the underground scenes of Boston and New York, her work captures the beauty and tragedy of queer life, addiction, desire, and also survival. Wolfgang Tillmans is among the most influential artists working today. Over nearly 4 decades now, he has redefined the medium through a fluid approach that merges genres, techniques, and subjects, while expanding the medium's conceptual and social reach. Guided by curiosity and empathy, his work ranges from portraits and still lifes to abstractions and large-scale installations, most often presented frameless, directly on the wall, creating these characteristic image sequences throughout his shows, reflecting personal intimacy, but also very much a global awareness. "The underpinning of my work," he has said, "has always been the use of my medium and everything it offers in order to make a new picture." Cindy Sherman has used photography since the late 1970s to explore identity and the construction of images in mass media. Working entirely with herself as a model, Sherman stages elaborate self-portraits that draw on cinematic, art historical, and pop cultural archetypes, revealing how stereotypes shape the way femininity and individuality are represented. After moving to New York in 1977, Sherman began her groundbreaking series, Untitled Film Stills, in which she portrayed herself in guises reminiscent of mid-century film heroines. While the images evoke familiar cinematic tropes, their deliberate artificiality exposes the instability of identity and the mechanics of visual representation of that identity. And that concludes our video for today. However, 20 more fine art photography artists are to be discovered in the complete article, which I'll link to in the description below and in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Feel free to watch our video on the top 10 ceramic artists next to explore a different niche within contemporary art today. Support us on Patreon and please consider subscribing to stay posted for more contemporary art. Bye.